Hello everyone, my name is Conrad on behalf of Camerastuff. Thank you for joining yet another In the Limelight session. Tonight we are joined by Carl van der Schyff, and tonight our topic is going to be that of the Godox AD300 Pro, that being a 300 watts per second battery strobe. So without further ado, let's get Carl into the chat.
Hey,
Hello
Conrad.
there, Carl. How are you doing?
Good, and yourself?
I'm doing well, thanks. I just had an exciting moment. I thought I saw aliens in the sky, but it just happened to be Elon Musk's Starlink satellites.
Yeah,
I thought I had my moment, my first alien experience, but no.
Well, I mean, the way your setup is and so on, it looks like you're already in the spaceship, man. It looks like such an awesome, like you.
Thanks,
it looks
man,
like
yeah.
you have like a podcast studio.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's the intention, but yeah, hopefully one day the aliens can come as well.
For you, not for me, man.
All right. So, what you've been busy with? So you took the Godox AD300 for a spin. Tell us about your first impressions there.
Absolutely blown away, man. Like, honestly, I think, if I'm quite frank, I think anybody who knows me or knows my type of work that I do within the industry, I've never been a professional strobist and a person who's really good with flash and so on. So probably a year or two ago, I bought lights from you guys because I primarily work in video. I've been shooting for the longest period of time with continuous lights as a studio, and it is a headache. First of all, you're arriving at a client's location and you don't know if they have electricity. The country doesn't have electricity, let alone your client. So, literally, since I've bought this, it has changed the game drastically. Like the modeling lamp, which I'm using at the moment with us having load shedding, so the modeling lamp is pretty bright for the 300, I'm not going to lie. And then just the overall capabilities of just having a wireless system, which obviously anybody who shoots flash, they're used to that. But for myself, I literally have for the last 2 years been shooting with continuous lights for all my clients, whether it's e-commerce, in studio, out of studio. I have an amazing amount of extension leads because of that. So now the fact
like a spaghetti mess.
It's ridiculous. And it's like you're taping down things so that clients aren't tripping over. So since I've bought this now, I have my assistant set up the two lights. They can be as far apart as you want, on location, outdoors, everywhere. It's just an absolute dream. I'm not going to lie.
All right, so great stuff. Yeah, so we're going to go into greater details as we plod along. Just a couple of things I want to get out of the way first. So if you are watching, we have a nice crowd watching. So if you have any questions to ask about the AD300 or to Carl directly, just drop those questions in the comment section. And I think for people who don't know you, do you want to give us a bit of a rundown as to who you are, what you do,
yeah, sure.
What you're typically busy with? Let people know Carl.
Yeah, so I guess like I've been out of the whatever you want to call a spotlight or media and that. Like I grew my account a couple years ago, being a portrait photographer, photographing models and so on. Primarily my income was weddings. And then I eventually started seeing the whole TikTok and Instagram Reels trend starting to happen just pre-COVID. And I literally jumped into video, and now that's like 99% of my work. Been in the industry probably, I want to say 8 to 10 years now. Was a photographer. Now I consider myself a cinematographer with photography skills. And just literally filming and photographing a lot of corporate these days. So I have clients like VW and Audi South Africa, their training center. I do a lot of their internal videos and so on, whether they're using their apps and they're sending that through to the dealerships. We did a lot of that type of work also during COVID, where they couldn't fly the dealer principals up and so on. So when a new car launched, like the VW Tigo, the T-Cross, the T-Roc, we would film all the aspects of that and train them on the new vehicles that they have to sell and send it internally throughout the company. So yeah, I'm basically a videographer now, and I've changed it up a little bit.
All right, yeah. So when it comes to photography, so you took a fancy to the Godox AD300. So as said, you took them for a spin. We have a video to show you guys. So it's just a little brief video behind the scenes. And we're going to play that right now. Sorry, just gonna get this format ready. There we go. Let me just restart that.
Yeah, so this was actually on set when I was shooting for PQ Clothing. And as you can see on the left-hand side is one of my continuous lights, because I do reels and TikToks for them as well. But since landing a couple clients like this that require me to shoot in studio so often, it's actually pretty dangerous having all these wires around, people, tripping. Also, the overall limitations that you have, because you've got obviously plug points. So yeah, the setup is absolutely amazing. Obviously, I did a horrible job in filming it. I was like literally during lunch, everybody was eating, and I like literally wanted to show you guys how exactly I've set up everything and so on. But if you remember the video, you'll see there was one AD300 Pro shooting through an 8x8-inch scrim, which basically creates exactly, it's very similar to this, where if I turn around, you'll see, obviously this is a lot smaller, but it creates this kind of look. And then obviously I have another one on the darker side, which is just more of like an octobox, which kind of fills it in. So yeah, it's changed my life, man. Like, honestly, you guys haven't paid me to say any of this, but like when I gave you feedback, I told you, like, more people need to understand that these flashes, they're unlimited in terms of what you can do with them. That's incredible.
All right, yeah. So especially the big talking point, that of load shedding. So having the battery power as an option, that is indeed a lifesaver, especially today. That is very much a reality. You're gonna get no power at some point during the day, so having that backup is incredibly crucial. So just to give a bit of a rundown with the AD300 as far as some specifications are concerned. All right, so what we can see here, maximum power of 300 watts per second, a recycle time, that is something I want you to cover as well. It's an incredible 1.5 seconds on full power, which is, well, you said that you started 8 or 9 years ago. That wasn't the case with strobes, typically speaking. Recycle time was, 4 or 5 seconds on full power. Here for battery life, lithium ion, that is 300 shots on full power. Obviously, you can get more if you reduce the power. Flash modes, plenty available. You have the very popular high-speed sync. You have TTL mode available, and of course manual if you want to choose the power settings yourself. An incredibly wide power range, 9 stops, so you have granular incremental control over your flash output. The Godox X system, which is something we also want to cover. You mentioned the LED modeling lamp as well, and all of that in a package that is 1.2 kilograms in weight.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Like, for me as well, I'm such an aesthetic type of person. It's terrible. Like, I'll literally buy my equipment according to the aesthetics of something. And if it's too big, it's too bulky, something like that, it just doesn't work for me. It can't fit in the boot. It just looks terrible on set. Like, to me, for me, the price range of what these cost and how expensive they look, that to me is also, it's something that, it sounds so pretentious, but it's obviously you want to look as professional as possible on set. And to me, these lights, the build, the quality, the feel of it, everything about it, it just feels expensive.
Yeah, so it's been a massive change. As mentioned, both of us starting about 9 years ago. The 300 watt units back in the day were like big clunky tanks and not very convenient to travel with on occasion.
And you have that big battery, right? Like, that would always connect to something. Like, you'd always have those power battery things.
Yeah, that attached to the umbilical cord as well. So it's something additional to trip over as well. Yeah. So you have one to show us, just to give people an indication as to size, so, and looking.
Like I said, the aesthetics of it. I mean, I bought the kits. So first of all, this bag, like, to me, it just looks so good. It's like the build, the quality.
It's a nice Godox label on as well.
Yeah, and then obviously when you open it, for me, once again, aesthetics, everything fits so nice and neat. Obviously the other one's been used, so it's been taken out. But I mean, like, when you grab it out the bag, it just feels solid, guys. Like, to me, that's like, and it's so small. Like, I think that's why also I stayed away from so many other various flashes and so on, because obviously the smaller packs, they're easy to use, but I mean, once again, like I said, the build quality, how it looks, it just feels solid. I think if I put it on, it might kill me with the...
As mentioned a couple of times already, it's just, comparatively speaking, small, but it's about dynamite in a small package. 300 watts in that unit, it's quite impressive. As I said, it's not something that we were used to back in the day, but everything is getting smaller and powerful.
Yeah, and to me, like, as you're talking about that, the battery on these things, incredible. You were talking about the whole 300 full flashes or whatever that you can use with it. I think on a full day set, I haven't had to, like, I obviously have spare batteries charging in case, but I haven't had to change it, because if you see in that video as well, I wasn't shooting on full power. I mean, like, most times I'm shooting on, you know, like very limited. So yeah, it's like I've never actually taken it to the full potential. I haven't had to. So
okay, well, interesting. So I have a bunch of questions from my side. So we're going to get into the specifics in terms of usability, reliability, how you use the product on a day, light modifiers. So we're going to talk about the Godox X system as well. So we're going to get started with that. But before we begin, again, to the audience watching, if you have questions to ask, please do drop that in the comment section. So it's why we do it live, so we can interact with you guys. So from our side, can you tell us a little bit about your experience using the Godox AD300 on location and versus studio as well?
Yeah, look, I'm actually really excited, to be honest. I'm going to be doing my first, well, I wouldn't say my first on location. I've done on location. I've used these at weddings before. And that as well it's changed the game for me. I have like 2 on either side of the room and just bouncing that, and the light looks absolutely amazing. Like, it's something different for me. Like, I'm not used to it, to be honest, because like you said, we've been in the industry for so long. And I mean, you're not taking studio size lights to weddings, you know? So when you're photographing the couple and you're in a location that's very tiny or so on, these work absolutely amazing. You pop on a small softbox, an octo, just bang it out, and it's absolutely amazing. Studio, like I showed you in that video, it's changed the game. I used to have to rent 3 studio heads from a company every time I did e-commerce work, you know, and that costs money. That takes out of the budget of the client as well as what you're earning. And the fact that I've invested in these now, it's helping me to just get the same overall result that I had having to get these huge 3 light setups. So yeah, to me, I'm loving it, man.
Yeah, it's a seamless shift between on location and in studio as well. So it's dual purpose for indoor and outdoor photography. So here's an interesting question. Do you find the 300 watts sufficient? Maybe when you're doing that outdoor photography and you're competing against harsh South African sunlight, I don't know if you have any experience with that. So first question, do you find the 300 watts sufficient, generally speaking? And have you compared it, you know, to, like, let's say a 600 watts or 400 watts?
So I haven't even, like I said, I haven't even shot it at full power. So I mean, that alone probably gives you the answer that you're looking for. You know, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I was photographing a wedding, and as they do, they dim all the lights for the first dance, and it's like, boom, surprise, surprise. And I mean, I wasn't even shooting on full power, and the place looked so beautifully lit, you know, balancing the ambience with the fairy lights in the background and so on. So I don't think I need more powerful. And that was the thing. I was, you know, weighing up the option of these and the bigger brothers and sisters, the 400s and the 600s. And I was concerned that there wouldn't be enough power, because I think that's for every photographer, you know, we want to get the bigger lens, or we want to get the brighter and the stronger strobe, because obviously you don't want to be left with too little. And I've never used full power, so that's definitely more than enough. With regards to your second question, I haven't compared it with regards to a bigger one like the 600, but like I said, I was using 3 400 watt heads for my e-commerce, and now I'm getting away with 2 300s. So of course you adapt and you change the way your studio setup is, but the fact that now it's taking me less time to set up lights, to, you know, create the entire scenario, it's saving me so much time.
Yeah, so the 600 watt is what a stop brighter than that of the 300 watts. So if you want to compete against harsh of African sunlight, a way of making that shift is just to move the light just a little bit closer to your subject. So the high speed magic is still there. So if you can use a wide aperture, if you want to get that shallow depth of field, you can crank your shutter speed way beyond a sync speed using this device. Yeah, so in terms of competing with that harsh South African sunlight, obviously 600 watt will do a slightly better job, but if you need more light, just push the light ever so closer to your subject. Okay, so what trigger are you using? So first question, what trigger? And second, if you want to elaborate on what the Godox X system is.
Man, I'm so bad at these, but it's, as far as I know, it's the X. Yeah, it's X Pro, right?
That's
X
the one.
Pro
Yes.
is. Yeah. So yeah, this is such a beautiful, like, once again, we're talking about being in the industry for 8+ years. I think you'll remember, like, especially if you're shooting events or anything that's off camera, you literally run and you're changing things. And,
Yeah.
And now it's like you've got your different groups. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me just get that light on. But I mean, like, you've literally got your different groups, your channels, you can change everything. And it's literally, you're just like, you're changing the entire environment by standing exactly where you want to be. So yeah, like, I bought this when I got my first Godox flash, which wasn't the 8300s. And the fact that you guys have created this ecosystem where, you know, as long as it's Godox, just like it synchronizes and you're able to control all your lights with this. So to me, it's the best bang for your buck.
I also remember a long time ago, not only did you have to run to the lights to change the settings, but if you used different brands, you had to create this totem pole of different flash triggers. Now, so different brands, so it was this clunky on top of your camera, looks a bit ridiculous, but here, and the double A, but yeah, so all of those batteries that you needed to charge beforehand as well. Yeah, so just to elaborate on the Godox X system, that refers to the Godox flash and trigger ecosystem. So the flashes and triggers that are directly compatible with one another. So no additional bits and bobs necessary. The receivers are built into these units. So if you're like Kyle, you bought a speedlight previously before, and you're now buying an AD300 or whichever, all of those Godox lights will still communicate with one another. Now, so chances are you wouldn't need to sell anything or throw anything away. So you can use your old devices with your new devices. As long as you have that Godox trigger, either an X Pro, an X2, there's a new X Pro Mark II coming, it's the X1. Now, so if it's a Godox X trigger, you can communicate and trigger and adjust settings on all of these Godox strobes, which is magical. Yeah, the new guys to photography may not, see the benefit or see that as a magical thing, but when we started, it was a massive game changer.
Yeah, I mean, and it's I've actually seen the adaptation that everybody's taken to the system. I've got I think it's called Wizard Pros or something like that. It's the Wizard triggers and receiver set. I've got the Yongnu set. I was trying to give it away. Like, I couldn't even sell it. I had a pair that had never been opened, and I had another pair that I'd used, and nobody wanted it because everybody's obviously adapted to the system where it's just super easy. You just literally getting to your location, you're putting this on, and your lights are synchronizing.
Yeah, I think Pocket Wizards, maybe.
Pocket Wizard, that's it.
Yeah, so Pocket Wizards, the Yongnu system, all of which were great back in the day. But the problem with, for example, a brand like Yongnu, they only had speed lights, right? Some good speed lights, but if you wanted to branch out towards battery strobes, more powerful units, they didn't have those options available. Whereas Godox speed lights, battery strobes, from 100 watts, 200 watts, 300 watts, 400 watts, and 600 watt units available as well. You can go up to 1200 watts as well. So a big variety, a big family of different strobes to suit your needs as a photographer. So if you need that big, powerful light, that's available. If you need to work light and you need to move around quite a lot, the 8300s and the 200s are available as well. If you want to use a flash on camera, should I say, the speed lights are there too. All right, so question from my side. So how does the Godox AD300 Pro fit into your overall lighting setup? So it's only the 300 watts that you use. Have you incorporated anything else into it as well?
Not currently. So I sometimes use my Godox SL150s, Mark IIs. whether it's backlighting, creating a mood like lighting a car or something like that. But since playing with these, I'm literally planning on buying another one or two of them. I was at your store a couple days ago where I bought the little modifications where you can like add the honeycomb grid and the gels and so on. So I'm going to literally start incorporating these into video as well as photography through like gelling and setting up like that. So yeah, I like the overall system that I can just actually keep them as the same.
Yeah, so in terms of modification, now that you mentioned it, all right, so there are dedicated accessories that you can use with the 8300, but if you want to use, let's say, bones mount, soft boxes, beauty dishes, snoots, etc., you're going to need to use what is called the S2 speedlight bracket. So you can see that in the video here. So it's coming. Yeah, so you can see the 8300 within that speedlight bracket as well. Yeah, so just to reiterate, if you want to use bigger soft boxes, beauty dishes, anything with a bones mount, you're going to need that bracket as well, but that's a 600 Rand extra. But yeah, if you want to use different lighting modifiers, if you want to create a big light, small light, also a focusable light, if you want to create soft light, hard light, etc. Yeah, so to expand your options in terms of crafting your lights, this bracket is definitely recommended as well. So your experience using that bracket with the 8300?
Yeah, it's awesome. As you were talking, I was just actually thinking, it's the great thing about this is it allows obviously the 8300s to take all my soft boxes that I've now purchased and built up my collection from video lights. But the fact, like, it's literally it's strong, it's rigid. It's like you can feel it. Like you're putting an expensive light on there and you're not worried about it. It's like it's solid. And the fact that it's the pivot system, like the way it rotates, I don't know what type of degree it works, but like I use it when I want to bounce, obviously, light onto a ceiling for weddings. And then, of course, like this, when I'm putting it on a C-stand, also, it's really good.
All right. Yeah. So definitely an additional requirement, thing that you need for the 8300. But yeah, so we have those available at Camerastuff as well. But as mentioned, there are some dedicated accessories for the 8300. So the 8300 has what is known as the Godox native mount. So there are soft boxes for that, some barn doors and some snoots. But if you want variety, if you want to use your all soft boxes, if you want to use anything that's non-Godox as well, as long as it's a bones mount, you can use that with the 8300 as well. So incredibly versatile in the sense of what you can use with it in terms of crafting your light, which is great. I think as a photographer, that is what you want. You want that versatility, having the options to play around with different qualities of light. You don't want to create the same thing over and over again. We have different challenges per day, and that adaptability, and to use that word again, versatility, is incredibly useful.
Yeah, and then there is also another like an adapter that you could put onto the 8300, if I'm not mistaken. Which isn't like the S2 brackets, and that. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, that then it's quite a mission, isn't it, to put on? It's not as easy.
I recommend the speedlight bracket because of the it takes the weight of the softbox of the 8300's head. So the weight of the softbox goes directly on the bracket itself, as opposed to the the head of the 8300 itself.
Yes, which is exactly why I prefer that method. Yeah. All
right. So something interesting I saw here, but you mentioned it as well. So shooting through a scrim. So your experience with that, I have a couple of questions to ask, but let's get your words in first.
Yeah, so I found that sometimes working with a scrim is obviously for an 8x8 size anyways, it's a lot more effective for me than a softbox. Obviously, I don't want to get this huge 3-meter parabolic that's going to cost me tons of money. So yeah, for me, this always it's a lot more versatile for me for my model to obviously be standing around. There's a lot more free roaming space for them to obviously be modeling and so on. So yeah, generally I'll pop the 300 on, shoot straight through, and then just bang it out.
Okay. Yeah. So what's the magic about the size of the light? creates a softer light, right? So if you have a massive scrim like this, it's going to create a very pleasing blanket of soft light.
Yeah.
So I think we have images here. Let's pop that in. So took the 8300 for a spin. So do you want to tell us about these images?
Yeah. So with these specific images here, I actually cross-used the 8300 alongside with my SL150 Mark II. So I had
tell us about that.
Yeah, so I had my key on our left of the model, and then obviously the continuous light was more for just a little bit of a fill as well as hitting a little bit of that background. I think that was a little bit closer to the model compared to the 8300.
All right. So question I have, backdrop use. So paper backdrop, I assume?
Yes.
What's your experience with paper backdrops as opposed to, let's say, PVC and cotton and whatnot?
I love paper backdrops. For me, I think I have a PVC backdrop, which is white on the one side, black on it's that reversible. And I find like no matter how you store that, it always has crinkles and it's always got marks on. Even if you like clean it, it's like, so for me, my experience, I've just literally always used paper backdrops. I absolutely love it. I feel like it brings a different type of texture also with regards to when the light falls on it.
Yeah, I think you have a point there. With PVC, I think the point of a PVC is to have it in studio and kind of leave it there. It's not the most practical thing to carry around from location to location. So the paper backdrops, in terms of what looks best photographically speaking, hands down the winner.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the certain texturing that you get from it. The light falls easily on it. It does not reflect, whereas PVC may reflect. Working with cotton, muslin, those do crease horribly as well. So if you want that look, if you want those creases and wrinkles, by all means, that can give you some creative results as well. But if you want that solid looking backdrop, the paper is, as I mentioned, the hands down winner.
Yeah. I've seen some creative shots with the crease look and so on before.
Yes.
But yeah, it's obviously it's for a specific look and feel.
All right. So we have some more photos to look at. Yeah, so more of the same, basically. So using the same paper backdrop here. Very soft light. So was this softbox or shooting through the screen?
This was softbox. Yeah. So like in that video that you see the Octo, that's what I have the 8300 connected to that, and I'm hitting it with a softbox. And then obviously the continuous light, the SL150, also had a softbox. It had a rectangle. I think it's a 6x9 or something like that. Okay. But yeah.
All right, let's have a scan through here. All right, so was this from the same set, should I say?
Literally, yeah. Same setup, everything. We changed the paper backdrop from the orange to the pink, and similar setup, 2 lights from either side, one a little bit brighter than the other, and just hits it. And then obviously, I don't think I sent you the others, but just to bring a little bit of a different look and feel, sometimes I just take the soft boxes off completely and you get that nice, beautiful, harsh shadowing on the color backdrops, just to bring a little bit of a different look and feel for the clients.
All right. So very easy looking light, for lack of a better term. That's a very soft, flattering. So you also mentioned something interesting, giving your model a bit of playroom as well. So if you have that harsh, direct light on your model, the breathing space in terms of posing is not that broad. So if you have that big blanket of soft light, you have more freedom for your model to work in.
Exactly.
Okay, so what else do we have here? So I think you shot against a wall here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So these you'd see is obviously with the white wall, that is exactly that set where you saw the huge 8x8 scrim. Especially on the right-hand side. I think the left one with the short head model, I think there we were playing around with a lot more harsh light. But the one on the right, you can definitely see that soft light again with that huge scrim, which is exactly why. Because a lot of my clients are the clothing industry. So you want to see as much texture and detail and so on, but at the same time complement it. So a lot of the times they're using demo stock or they, mutilated stock that's been imported as samples. You don't want this bright, sharp light on it all the time. You want to try and accentuate it as much as possible so there's less wrinkles and so on.
Yeah, it's a super duper soft light. Yeah, I'm really impressed with the results here.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so here you can see some of that wall. Yeah, it's an interesting choice with the, whatever you can use as a backdrop, use it.
Yeah. And I mean, these are practically RAWs. I think I converted them from RAWs just to JPEG. So they haven't even been really like bumped up in terms of lighting and color or sharpness or anything. But yeah, the softness for me gets me every time. It's you're photographing these models with your client literally right next to you, displaying the shots on a monitor through tethering. And they're just super impressed because it looks so good straight out of camera.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we got our first question here. All right, from Sweetie. How do you change backdrop color? Right, so you just literally change paper backdrops, eh?
Yeah, literally. They're just hanging with two C stands, and we just change it up.
All right, yeah. So in terms of if you want to change your backdrop color, you can throw a light directly on the backdrop itself. So ideally use a white backdrop or a gray backdrop. So you can use gels in front of the backdrop light, or you can use a fancy RGB light. We have our videos about that as well. So how to change backdrop colors using gel lighting or RGB lighting. Yeah, so it can be done, but I think here specifically it was just as easy as swapping out different backdrops.
Yeah, no deep etching or anything.
All right, let's get rid of this. Let's get your face to mine. Sorry, it's a new system, so I'm getting used to all of these different formats.
No worries.
Now, one day we'll be popular enough and I'll have my own Steven Spielberg editing all of this for me.
Well, it's already looking so good, man. Jeez.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, well, baby steps. All right, so you say you haven't used it outdoors before, so maybe you haven't made use of that high-speed sync feature, but is there something that you want to say about high-speed sync? Have you used it before? Just in terms of using that shallow depth of field, wide aperture, but also cranking your shutter speed way beyond a sync speed. So
yeah,
anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you that's the only way you're going to get like really professional looking photographs. Otherwise, it's going to look like it came from a cell phone where everything is in focus and you've got no bokeh or anything like that. So the fact that the flashes for me that they have that capability, that was really exciting. Have I used it yet? No, I haven't, but I'm really excited because on Tuesday, we're literally going through to Parkhurst and we're going to be photographing all day in the sun. So yeah, I'm going to be doing...
Definitely keen to see those results then.
Yeah, definitely. Gonna have a little voice activated light following me around, light stand.
Awesome. It's always convenient having those around.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a cricket fan. So in cricket, we have the terminology all-rounder. So that being a good batsman and bowler. And I think that's a good description of the 8300 as well. So in terms of power output, you have that in abundance, 300 watts per second, but you have that in a tiny unit. Easy to travel with, easy to store, easy to use on location and in studio as well. Very adaptable in the sense of what modifiers you can use with it. You have the Godox X system integration as well, so you can mix and match different Godox strobes with it. So overall, it's a lot of many things. So I think that is quite an apt description, the perfect all-rounder.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like for me, these batteries, I don't know what you guys do. It's like magic or something because first of all, the length that like the amount of shots that you can shoot with it, but then also when you're charging it, the fast charge, it's incredibly fast to charge for some reason. So that to me is like something else. It's like, it's one thing to have a light that can last really long, but like if it takes really long to charge, that's a problem. So for me, it's really great. I don't know. Like for me, it feels like it charges a lot faster than a lot of my other batteries and equipment.
So you can use it with the smart, not smart charger, the fast charger as well. So there are USB options available as well. So you can use a power bank, you can use a car charger, you can use a mobile phone charger with it as well. So again, to use that word, versatility, adaptability, it covers a lot of bases.
Yeah.
All right. Really. So I think we are at the end of our session. I don't know if there's anything that you want to add.
Not specifically, but yeah, I mean, just the overall idea of, we keep using the word versatility, but I mean, I'm actually really excited. I know it's a very small market in terms of videographers to ever be considering using this, But I mean, I've just proven a point with one model lamp. You could almost do like a documentary / interview look. So when I do purchase when I purchase my third one like this, I'm very excited to actually test it out on video and create moods and lights and so on with the adapters and modifiers. The model lamp, to me, it's incredible as well that this puts out.
All right, so available at Camerastuff. Do check out our website. We have discounted bundles available as well. So if you buy the 8300 with, let's say, an extra battery or an extra modeling lamp, not a modeling lamp, should I say flash tube. If you buy it with a light stand and a light modifier, to get that discount on top of everything as well. So do check out our website to see what we have available. Yeah, so if you're keen to use or buy the 8300, check out our website or visit us in the Camerastuff shop. So I think that's going to be it from my side. I do thank you, Carl. That was an awesome presentation into the 8300. We do value it. Yeah, so we kind of say good night, I suppose. So no questions more from the audience. Yeah. So hopefully no aliens still going to capture us tonight.
No sighting so far.
No, at least not. Yeah, but still keen to see her.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you putting me on, and appreciate your time, man. And thank you so much. Like, I've learned a lot. I mean, you're always willing to help as well. That's the great thing about Camerastuff, guys. Literally, if you are concerned about anything, or you have a few questions with regards to gear and equipment, you guys are always the first to, like, you literally will open a box of something. You were like, "Yo, this is how you do it," and so on. So I really appreciate all the help, because sometimes I walk in, and although I've been in the industry for 8+ years, I can ask questions that you guys could roll your eyes, but you don't. And I really appreciate that.
I'm always happy to receive the positive feedback. So thank you so much. We do value it.
Anytime.
All right. So I think it's going to be a good night from us. So, yeah. So we're going to sign off. So to everybody watching still, if you haven't seen the entire video, if you want to start from the beginning, it's going to be available for, it's going to be available on YouTube. So you can start from the beginning. But yeah, that's going to be it from our side. So thank you for joining, and it's going to be a good night. So cheerios from our side.
Cheers.